So I will be there Sunday when the Browns and Shedeur Sanders face the Raiders at Allegiant Stadium in Vegas. It's going to be a big game. I went to the Lakers game last night, LeBron's big return. I'm not game dropping here. I'm just telling you that in the building, I got stopped a gazillion times, people asking about Shedeur. I'm going to say this right now. This might be the biggest game of the season that goes to 8% of the country, if it even goes to 8% of the country. It's going to go to Ohio, and it's going to go to Nevada, and pretty much nowhere else. Because Fox has the doubleheader and CBS does not, and this is in the late window with Tom McCarthy and Ross Tucker and Tiffany Blackman. Great crew, but not their number one crew in any way, shape, or form calling this game. Most of America is not going to see this game. But I'm going to tell you right now, and Charles, you may find me absurdly ridiculous here. If, and it is a big if the Browns win this game and if he plays well, the train will have left the station. And this is the only thing that will be talked about on Monday and Tuesday and maybe even Wednesday.
Yeah.
And then the Browns next week get the 49ers. Who knows what they're doing? But they're a good team. They're in the playoffs right now. There is, and the kid hasn't played a full game. I don't want to make these ridiculous expectations. But there is a chance that if they win and if he plays well, that it's the only thing you see on your TV the next few weeks, for better or for worse. I'm just saying, wrap your head around it.
Yeah, I mean, look, we joked about them flexing, the Raiders game, but
no, the Titans
crazy
game.
Thing is, the Titans game. But I mean, I think they could flex this game. I don't care if it is the Titans. Yeah, I get it, the Cam Ward, Shedeur, all that stuff. But I mean, literally, if it was possible and they flexed this game, it would do a number. Like it would. That's just how many people want to see him play. And you say, oh, I'm excited to talk about this, and obviously it's being snarky about it. I've told people all along, anyone who will listen, Shedeur is not the problem. It's the people who have galvanized around him and refuse to let you have any kind of an honest conversation. And by the way, I'll go back to the Ravens game. I rewatched his half a couple of times, and I left it going, not a lot the guy could do in that situation. Under the pressure with the blocking limitations being what they were, the amount of time he had to process decisions, going into the game cold. You can argue reps or not, not having the familiarity. It's still the NFL. You got to show up and do what you can do. But when I look back at it, I thought, okay, there were probably 2 or 3 things he did that were just outright, kind of egregious. Throwing the interception, obviously he's under pressure. You can see what he tries to get it a little deeper than he probably should have. There was a simpler option to take on the play, but instead he goes with the deeper option, throws the time he hits Kyle Hamilton in the hands with the ball. And, look, I'd even say when you throw it in the end zone, and it looks like possibly a good 30-yard potential touchdown pass that gets dropped, you're throwing it to a 5'8" guy, and I know I've heard people kind of breaking down the film this week talking about, well, hey, Jerry Jeudy was open, on an out route, and he could have moved, the sticks and gotten the first down. So there were, there are things where you're like, okay, you can be critical and honest, but also you have to weigh that out and say, really what matters now is what he looks like when he's got a week of practice, when he's got a week of reps with the ones, when the game plan is molded, knowing that he's going to be the one in there handling the snaps. What I think the positive is right now, we can actually grow this conversation. We can actually move it based on real football, right? We can now look at him having a week of reps, starting, just, throwing balls to guys he threw to in practice. We can talk about actual football and Shedeur Sanders, meaningful football in terms of real live, everything's flying now, and have a real conversation about it. I hope it does not devolve into what every other real conversation you've tried to have about the situation devolves into, which is just, you hate him, you're a hater. Oh, it's something, divided along racial lines. It's, this coach doesn't like him and is trying to destroy him. I hope we can move beyond that and talk about the real football around Shedeur Sanders now.
So I hate to break it to you, but we won't be able to.
I know
two
we
things.
won't.
Two things are true. Yes, we're going to have real football, and I and you and Jory and Frank and anybody else on this show and the other places you go, Nate Tice and Charles McDonough, Football 301, like the other shows that you go to here, or Yahoo Sports Daily, or the ones that you trust on television, and the intelligent conversation shows will do that. Okay, the guys that I trust, quarterback analysts, Chase Daniel and Dan Orlovsky, those guys, Daniel Jeremiah, they will do that.
Yep.
Okay. And there'll be plenty of other people that, regardless of what happens, will still resort to the screaming and the yelling. That's simply the way it is. And they're not going to change what they do. That's their method. That's their MO. I said on the show yesterday, Charles, when you weren't here, that if there are people on your radio or podcast or television screaming and yelling that the Browns have set them up to fail or that the coach has it out against them, they're being disingenuous. Or they really just don't know and they're trolling you. So, cut that crap out. Don't pay attention to any of that stuff. But to your point, we will have real football and we can have real conversations. But the people that always want to make excuses and point fingers and troll will still do that because that is what they do. Like whomever they are, the loudest voices in the room, trolling and screaming and yelling and trying to make up narratives that simply do not exist. There was good in Shedeur's performance in the first half or the second half. Saw it with my own two eyes. The hitch on the rollout to open, the check down on play number 2, the layered throw to Harold Fannin to open up the final drive for 25 yards on a play that he saw earlier. Matter of fact, the second play that he had, the second snap in the third quarter, same thing. He had Njoku open on the check down, the sit down underneath, and he had Fannin on the second level throw, the 25-yard in cut. He took Fannin the second time after not taking it the first time. That is legitimate football progression. There were 2 balls that he threw in the fourth quarter that could have, should have been caught, but they were not. So all of the above. What's also not pointed out for the excuse makers, people think, oh, the offensive line was bad. Yes, it was. But what should be pointed out is that on that final drive, he was without both of his starting tackles. Cam Robinson was out. He got injured in that game in the second half. And Jack Conklin missed the final series. He, too, was injured. So that's what you were dealing with. And that was as significant as anything about this imagined scandal about not getting reps. Second-string quarterbacks don't get reps in the NFL during the week, game week. That happened. Anyone suggesting otherwise is lying to you. Now, can you make the argument? Maybe you could have worked a few. And but Kevin's got 2 rookie quarterbacks. Did anyone tell you, it was reported a few weeks ago and confirmed today by Stefanski, did anyone tell you that Kevin has been meeting with Shedeur every week, a couple of times a week in the morning, just the 2 of them, to go over stuff? No. That messes up the narrative. Anyway, I'm rambling. Hold on. Before you jump in, because I've taken the air out of the room, let me play Shedeur on the podium today. Wednesday, he is officially the starter. Here he is.
Shedeur, you'll now be the 42nd starting quarterback since the Browns came back.
Hey, that's a good number.
That's
ironic. That's crazy.
Franchise that has been starved for a franchise QB. What would be your message to the fans, kind of going into this game as you kind of start, your NFL career really for the first time starting?
Well, I know our fans have hope, and I'm the one that What'd you say? Yeah. For instance, I know our fans have a lot of expectations and hope, and I would be doing a disservice to myself and disservice to the organization if I didn't feel like I am the guy. I did everything I need to. I'm doing everything I need to prepare to be the best version of myself as possible. With the circumstances, everything got to be sped up, and that's great. I like pressure in life. I'm just excited for everything. So, I feel like I'm the guy. I know I'm the guy, but, you just have to be able to see.
On paper, it sounds cocky, but if you watch the video, it just sounds like a confident, likable kid.
Yeah, and I think that's what, everyone that rushes out here to protect Shedeur, and if there's any criticism about his game or whether he's getting the opportunities, whatever it is, anything you want to pick apart. If you get branded a hater, or, it's all about, racial lines or whatever. Here's the reality of Shedeur Sanders. Everybody should want to see him succeed and be great on the NFL level for a number of different reasons. Number one, it's exciting. Young, great quarterbacks are exciting to watch. They do nothing but pump money into the NFL, excitement. I mean, it raises all boats every time. I mean, look at Jackson Dart. When Jackson Dart was playing well in New York, people were watching. People wanted to see the Giants offense actually play, right? And so this idea that everyone wants to see Shedeur Sanders fail, that's not true. I can tell you media outlets don't want to see him fail because they want to talk about him. No. They want to have a reason to talk about him. The fastest way to not talk about Shedeur is to have him go out and have a couple games of 30% completions or 40% completions and interceptions, and you know what? He wasn't cut out for it. It's not going to work. Media outlets don't want that. They want him to be relevant. They want him to be exciting. They want the sparks that you had at Colorado. That was good for everyone involved. And it was fun to watch. So, that's one thing people really need to understand. Every time he talks, I am always leaning forward in my seat because I think it's interesting. The way he handles himself, the way he carries himself. I mean, look, even that clip right there, somebody mentions number 42 and he says it's ironic. And obviously Jackie Robinson wore, number 42 and ushered in an era of change in baseball, right? So some people are going to look at that and they're going to go, well, that's Shedeur. Is he comparing himself to Jackie Robinson? Or no, it's just, it's interesting. Guess who needs an era of change? The Cleveland Browns at quarterback. Okay. So it just, we all need to relax. If Shedeur does well, you and I were at the Carolina Panthers preseason game. It was electric. Played well in that game. I walked out of it thinking, wow, this would be great for everybody. If this is what he is, and he's going to be able to progress into being the player he thinks he is, it's going to be a more exciting league. It'll be great for Cleveland. It's this idea that everybody's against him. I don't think that's true. And I think even if there are some people who would like to see him fail because they think he's, arrogant, or, they don't like Dion, or, just whatever the circumstances were, a lot of those minds, I'm telling you, will change because fun football, people get on board pretty quickly, even if they're critics.
Absolutely. And criticize them. So step back. For those who don't know, I'll just say it again. I work for the Browns on Sundays, so always take that in mind. But people that criticize the Browns, saying that they somehow are the ones keeping him down, they're the ones that threw him the lifeline and took him. Lifeline's maybe the wrong way to say it. But 143 other chances for him to get selected passed. They're the ones that said, you know what, we're going to do this. And you mentioned the racial thing. I don't even like addressing it, but I will. There was a quarterback room a couple of years ago that featured Deshaun Watson, Jacoby Brissett, Josh Dobbs, and rookie Dorian Thompson-Robinson. That was the Cleveland Browns. So, yeah, that one does not fly whatsoever. If the Browns were to win, Madison and I were joking, our producer Madison, when we were on the phone earlier today. If they beat the Raiders, let's just say hypothetically, I don't know that they're going to beat the Niners, but let's say play along. The Cam Ward game, they're not going to get flexed to the Titans. That's not going to happen. But are you telling me that you wouldn't like to see the Browns with a couple of wins under Shedeur face Caleb Williams and the Bears week 15 in something other than the 1 o'clock Eastern window? Or the next week, Josh Allen come to town? Or the week after that, a rematch against Aaron Rodgers right after Christmas? I know. The idea of the Browns getting flexed is absurd. Just saying, the train's left the station. It'll be fun one way or the other. And you hope it's not like when Johnny Manziel made his debut against the Bengals. And that was a 30-0 loss. That was bad. Really bad. But Shedeur's not Johnny Manziel. He works his tail off. Truly. And does that mean you get results on Sunday? I don't know. But they're playing a Raiders team that, let's face it, is bad. Bad. And there's this cool note as well from the great NFL research staff here in Los Angeles. Shedeur is going to join Brian Griese as the only sons of Hall of Famers obviously the great Bob Greasy, the Dolphins quarterback, Brian's dad, to start a game in the NFL at quarterback. And Greasy's first win came against the Raiders in Oakland. Oh, the script writers, you can't write this stuff, or maybe you can. And here's another one, fun one for you, Charles. That year, Brian Greasy, in his first, because he was a rookie in 98, but he didn't start until 99, he actually played a road game in New England. You knew who the head coach was?
Road game in New England. What year was this?
99.
99. Yeah, I don't know. You got me stumped. Would it be
Pete Carroll.
Would have been, was
Pete
it
Carroll.
Pete Carroll?
Yep.
Okay. Well,
So these guys are both playing road games as rookies against Pete Carroll. 26 years apart. Time is a flat circle, my friend. Time is a flat circle.